One thing we haven't yet talked about, which we are going to talk about now, is the use of and the partnership with brands. Now, brand partnerships, one way or another, have always been have been for a while an important part of the games industry, and certainly mobile game space. And so I'm delighted for our final part of the session of the morning to invite Nicholas Longano, who from Scuti.store. If I've said that right, is that correct?
That's right. It's Scuti. We don't even need to
Scuti. Sorry, I had .store in my notes. So Scuti. So Scuti's good. It sounds kind of cool. And you're going to be talking today with Patrick Dolan, who's also joining us, about how to optimize game success and monetization with brand partners. Is that right?
That is correct. We're actually going to take it even a little bit further because everybody wants to learn more about NFTs and how they play into the equation. And we talk about G-commerce as well, which is all related to brands and how we can monetize now every single game that's out there.
Well, this is fantastic. Well, stick around. This is definitely going to be interesting, and you're going to learn something here. So, whereabouts are you based, Nicholas? Where are you?
Well, depending on the time of the year, if it's winter, it's going to be Florida, and then if it's not winter, it's going to be New York, and that's where Patrick is as well.
Okay, so Patrick's from Europe. Great. We start off in Shanghai. We've been via much of Europe, and now we're getting across to the East Coast. So I'm going to leave. You had a twang that came from even further afield there. I noticed in your voice. So
that's Australia.
I thought you might be up really late. I think, oh my God. But
I'm a little far from home.
It's 3 days from now.
I'll right. At the end and come in, but I'm going to leave you guys to chat if that's okay, and go talk through. Give us a presentation. You all good?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen because we've got lots of slides to go through as well.
Yeah, don't worry. There's no one after you. Take as long as you need. You can be here for 2 hours.
I'm sure I want that.
All right.
All right. Thank you. All right. So I just want to confirm everybody can see my screen, correct?
Yep. All good.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, fantastic. And again, I just wanted to thank everybody for being here this morning. Obviously, welcome to Pocket Gamer Connects. And this morning, as Chris had mentioned, we're going to be covering optimizing game success and monetization using the right brand partners, and also how every game maker can now take advantage of the hottest trends in games today, which obviously are G-commerce and NFTs. As Chris mentioned, I'm Nicholas Longano. I've been making games for well over 20 years. Most of you probably don't know me, and you don't need to know me. I've had the privilege of working with the likes of Blizzard, Valve, Universal Interactive. And almost 20 years ago, I helped pioneer the in-game advertising market with Massive, which was eventually acquired by Microsoft. Today, I'm the CEO and founder of Scuti. And I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here, Patrick Dolan, who for 13 years was the president of the IAB and is a respected thought leader in the advertising industry. And when Patrick speaks, brands listen. So I'm actually going to quickly turn the virtual mic, so to speak, over to Patrick, and he can get us kick-started today. Patrick?
Thank you, Nicholas. And I'm glad to be here, everyone who's watching. In doing some research for this presentation, I found a few demographic and consumer behavior trends that should be very interested to everybody on this presentation, but also brands are really paying attention to as well. And these major demographic changes are that there are more than 39% of the population by 2023 will be gaming. And that's a global population of gamers of over 3 billion players. That is a huge number. And that the largest demographic that's coming up, the Generation Z, 90% of that generation consider themselves gamers, which is amazing. And if you combined both Gen Z and millennials, this is alone, and there's other obviously, people outside those generations that have buying power, but these two alone have $3 trillion in purchasing power. And one of the things that's happened, other than the demographic shift, is during COVID, the e-commerce has exploded. And this generation and most everyone is now very comfortable and really utilizing e-commerce for their purchases. And as I said before, brands are paying attention, and you should be paying attention, because what they're beginning to see is that gaming, outside of the traditional ways of monetizing gaming, brands see them as an opportunity to reach their customers. And they are integrating their products and services into games and creating ability for commerce in those games. In fact, this Gucci example led this guru, Doug Stevens, to tweet that the next billion-dollar consumer goods channel is G-commerce. And you're asking yourself, I'm sure, what is G-commerce? Well, Nicholas is going to explain what G-commerce is, and I'm going to turn it back over to him.
Thanks, mate. So you said billion, it's 100 billion, but it could eventually be much greater than that as well. So thanks, Patrick. G-commerce represents one of the biggest opportunities for game makers, and it's available right now to every single one of you. G-commerce is literally a reference to any product or NFT related commerce which is conducted through games. That's G-commerce. Games are the next major commerce platform, and we're going to tell you how to do it and why you should be doing it. Because it doesn't matter what kind of game you have. It doesn't matter if you're a mobile, PC, console, or you're in esports, right? It doesn't matter if it's a shooter, puzzle, sim, strategy. Does not matter, because G-commerce is designed specifically for the entire games industry, and it will eclipse all the existing annual revenues that are generated from games today, right? We've still got the same revenues that we were generating decades ago when I was making games 20 years ago, right? But G-commerce is designed specifically for this industry, and it's an opportunity in the trillions of dollars. And the best part of it is, particularly for mobile game makers, is that it can monetize every single one of your players. And mobile, whether it's free to play or if it's the more hardcore gamers, you can monetize them now without ever concerning yourself about alienation. Because that's a big one. When I talk to people about monetization, oh, am I going to alienate your players? It's impossible. You can't through G-commerce, right? So the opportunity definitely can't be ignored by any of us in the games business, right? And now's the perfect time for all game makers to be integrating G-commerce into their games. And to help everyone understand the opportunity that we have in front of us, right? Particularly on the content monetization component of it, we're going to borrow a page from the movie industry, because I think that that is the easiest way to illustrate it. And I'm going to show you how we're doing it with games, okay? Why movies? Because movies are experiences that are non-interactive entertainment, just like, well, they're non-interactive entertainment, but they're non-interactive versions, so to speak, of your games. We all get that, and we all understand that. And before COVID, right? When you went to a movie theater to watch a movie, audiences first entered a lobby. Hope that makes sense for everybody. They then transitioned to the actual movie, and that's where they were immersed into another world, just like your games. And just like movies, right? You have to separate the lobby from the actual game itself, because it's that kind of thinking that's going to bear the new opportunities that we're talking about today. And like some of your games, movies even have brands in them, but the brands are always a natural fit to the experience. They're never forced. You don't see banners displayed below the screen when you watch a movie. The movie maker doesn't try to get you to click on some ad that ejects you from your seat to some waiting browser in the ether. There are no interstitials that break the immersion of that movie. Exception is television, but we all expect that. We know that. We were born with that. Our generation was anyhow. And while all of this may sound funny to you, or some of you, that's exactly what many games do today. Before I go into this, one of the statements that I wanted to make here is that no game should ever permit the ejection of players. In the last panel, I heard them talk about user acquisition costs. We know how high that is. We know how harder that is. You should never try to lose your player all because you were pursuing some click-through, okay? That is by far the worst strategy that any game maker can implement into their games, okay? What's more about movies is that they're unapologetic about monetizing everyone. And they do so many times over. All of you are moviegoers or movie viewers, right? But they do it in such a way that it never alienates you. And that is key. And it's a lesson that we as game makers need to understand. Patrick?
Right. And they're monetizing you not only in the movie theater, but they're monetizing through pay-per-view, digital retail sales, and also through syndication. But when you're in the movie theater lobby, you know, you're sold premium movie tickets. You know, there's 3D glasses, there's popcorn, drinks, candy, merchandise, swag, you know, and on top of that, there's billboards in the lobby and there's previews before the show. I mean, so they are monetizing you like crazy. And along that way, I mean, most people are pretty happy about the experience. I love to watch the previews and, you know, get my candy and popcorn and drinks, and I always have a good time at the movie theaters. I can't wait for them to open again.
Patrick's having a good time. So we have to ask ourselves, how does that translate to games? And how do we identify how the games business across all platforms and game genres can tap into billions of newfound dollars? And that's what we're here today, okay? The majority of games today ignore the most important monetization real estate in their games, and that's the lobby. We just heard from Patrick, you know, what you're doing in a movie lobby. Some do actually sell virtual goods there, while others do absolutely nothing with their lobby to monetize. And it's an enormous opportunity that the games industry is actually leaving billions of dollars on the table. Needless to say, just like a movie theater, every game should be using the lobby to incorporate G-commerce. Now we start to get into this, right? Here, they can monetize every single player, whether it's premium or free-to-play game on any device at all, right? And 1 minute, right? So this is an example, okay? 1 minute, you're playing your game. The next minute, you're back into your lobby. They launch the G-commerce experience, and here you have it. Based on the game they're coming from, technology's reading and basically delivering to each player curated products. And these are all hand-selected. Curation and selection is critical. Anything that touches your player, goes through your game, should have the blessing of the game maker. Otherwise, you really are going to upset your players in one way, shape, or form, because you're delivering me brands or products that I have absolutely no interest for. Why are you wasting my eyeball time, right? If they make a purchase decision, they're rewarded. These are rewards that can be used to purchase other products, crypto game art, game trading cards, branded collectibles. They can spend it in the NFT marketplace. They can buy other goods. They can exchange it for credits within your game, right? So there are many, many possibilities. And this is all done through that one thing that I mentioned before, which is called G-commerce. And the majority of game makers today don't really know that this even exists, because what you're talking about here is an opportunity that whether a player spends any money or not, it doesn't matter. Look at this screen here. You've got 2 ads. You just generated revenues from the ads from this experience. And this is G-commerce. It's not in the game. The player opened up and launched the store on their own accord. They opted in. So it takes care of many of the issues that the gaming industry has been plagued with, and all the concerns of IDFA and TCF, etc. This takes all of that away from the equation and provides every single game maker a brand new revenue stream, whether the player spends or not. And whether that player spends or not, they're getting rewarded. And that is the stickiness factor, right? We talk about retention. Now we can do something to retain. We always need a good game. You always have to make a good game experience if you want to retain folks. I apologize. It looks like the sun is coming up behind me as well. So furthermore, G-commerce can also be connected to the actual game experience itself. That's if you want it to, right? So imagine in this scenario here, player is zooming around their racing game. They pass a billboard for Nike. Again, you want to make sure that the content that you have within your game is pertinent to the game experience and also relevant to the player. But anyway, they're driving around in their racing game. They pass a Nike billboard. Nothing happens. We're not interfering with the gameplay. We're not ejecting that player. They're not clicking it. They don't need to do anything with it. They just passed it. Or so it seems nothing happened, right? But they continue to play onwards. They have a great game experience and they finish the gameplay, right? Now they're back in the lobby. This is where we start to alert them, okay? This is where the G-commerce store, where Scuti comes in and says, hey, look at me. There's something happening here. We've got some promotions, some offers. Curiosity compels any player to launch the store. You guys all know it works. That's why you try it with your virtual stores all the time, right? Your G-commerce marketplace launches and voila, you see Nike up there. Your players are seeing those Nike products they came across in your game, which now they can buy. Your player never leaves your game. There's no browsers, there's no pop-ups, there's no interstitials, and their ability to shop and your ability to earn is never disruptive or a distraction to the actual gameplay. Better yet, the brands will actually pay you up to 3 times as much for that native billboard that you saw within that game, because it's now a performance-driven ad with attribution. What does that mean? It means that you're making much more money. And when I purchased those $220 Air Jordans that you see up there, you just received a wealthy share of that sale. And you'll probably monetize me more than the entire lifetime, right, that I was playing your game under the way in which you manage game monetization today. It is far more lucrative. I still have a great game experience, but you've now given me the choice to actually buy the products that I've seen in your game, and I can buy other products as well that didn't show up in your game as well. It's completely up to you as a game maker. Because, and having said that, this is a good transition. G-commerce can actually be tailored to every single game and sell literally anything at all that you want it to your players. If you don't want to sell products, because I've heard some people say, I don't want to commercialize. I'm not going to give you my opinion on that particular statement because everybody shops, but that's okay. If you don't want to sell products, right, then sell your own game merch. You can also tailor these experiences as you wish, right? You have complete control. There's no such thing, and there should never be such thing as one size fits all, because it doesn't. Your games are different. Your players are different. A casual gamer or someone that's looking for a casual game experience is pretty much different to an ardent, hardcore, gamer that's shooting them up or going to esports events, etc. Some games can simply offer their own NFT marketplace. That's for the most ardent players, okay? Personally, I wouldn't be putting an NFT marketplace in a casual game, a puzzle game. That doesn't really make sense. You're going to put your NFT marketplace in those games where you have the most ardent fans that are going to spend money on those that game art, the collectibles, etc. You can sell them limited edition game art, trading cards, branded collectibles, literally anything that's digital, that's tied to the blockchain. That's all available through G-commerce platforms like Scuti. You can even use, and most people don't know this, we heard in the last panel how difficult user acquisition is, how expensive it is. There are 955,000 games in the App Store, right? It is very difficult for any game marketer, if you're starting out particularly, to start building that audience. But you can use a marketplace like Scuti's, for example, as a place for discovery. Why? Because every game that's connected to that network is available for players to see. Why? Because they've got these rewards and they can use those rewards to purchase games. They can use those rewards to purchase in-game credits. So it stands to reason that the marketplace will actually allow you to sell your own games or market all the other games that you have in your portfolio. It's a great marketing tool as well. So G-commerce, as we started out today, has been specifically designed to solve many of the issues which plague games today. It's going to improve your player engagement. It has to. You're rewarding me. You're giving me something for a purchase that I would have made anyway. I would have bought those Nike shoes either from Nike or from the Amazon store. But guess what? None of them are giving me a percentage of my sale back that I can now use to either buy other products or to improve my game experience. So that reward is critical. That reward is your stickiness as well. It's also going to improve the game experience as a result. It'll increase your retention rates. We've got research, right? And I'll share some of that research with you in a minute. But people are going to launch your games, whether they want to play or not, just to go into the store because they get a reward every single day that they log in. They get a reward every time they watch, say, a game trailer, a movie trailer. They're rewarded. Why would you want to go to YouTube to watch an ad for a Batman movie when I can watch it through your game and I, as a player, am now rewarded and I can use those rewards to improve my game experience? So the net of it is it's going to boost your game LTV. And when I say boost it, I mean boost significantly beyond anything that the games industry has ever seen before. Commerce is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And we're now bringing that to games because it's just another service and it's another point of contact between you and your players, and you can customize it any way you want. Patrick?
Yeah, but of course, in order to create that really great experience for your user and your gamer, you're going to want to make sure that you've got the right brands associated with your game and your audience. So it's very important to make sure that you are partnering with brands that want to help and reward your players with tokens and other ways that they can buy the product. So it's nice to match these two things up.
Exactly. You don't want to have a player be seeing brands that have really no interest in them as far as the game is concerned. They just want an eyeball, and somehow that eyeball is going to translate into a sale at some store later on. No, that's not the way it should be done. Brands want an engagement and a relationship with your players. They want to reward your players as well. And the fact of the matter is that, game development in the game world is going to be a richer one right post-COVID because of platforms such as Scuti through G-commerce and of course the NFT marketplace as well, because they guarantee your players a better experience to the point where we did surveys and research with independent groups, right? Over 500 players, all platforms, NFT, premium, etc. 90%, 9 out of 10 said that they would want to purchase. Why? Because of the rewards and the experience that it gives them. It's not, think of G-commerce and the NFT marketplace as the Super Bowl of advertising, because that's what it is. And your players look forward to it because every day they're going to experience something new. They're going to discover a new brand. And of course, they're going to be rewarded for that as well. Patrick?
And I was going to say that, because of this really explosion in e-commerce, the idea of buying through e-commerce is something that everybody is super comfortable with. But, there's probably a couple of questions out there. And before we turn it open to everybody, I'm going to ask a few to Nicholas. Does G-commerce work with premium games? It sounded earlier that it might just work with pocket games. Can you give us some insight into that?
Yeah, no, G-commerce, NFTs, etc., they appeal to all players. The NFTs really appeal more to the hardcore games and the hardcore gamers, I'd say. That's just my opinion, so take that as you wish. But, G-commerce, spending money on products that you want to buy, that's for everybody. And it doesn't matter if you're the most casual player to the most fanatic gamers, right? Everybody buys products, and G-commerce allows them to purchase what they would have purchased somewhere else anyway. And what's better, they receive a reward, which will improve their overall game experience. And you as a game maker now make more money from that player than you would ever have had in any other way. You're trying, when you are fresh out of the stall and you are trying to convert a player, and this is where the mobile industry really suffers a little bit, where they try and convert to in-app purchases, you're trying to change consumer behavior. I've been a brand marketer for almost 35 years. Gosh, I'm getting old. But you're trying to change consumer behavior. That is so difficult to do. What we're doing through G-commerce is we're allowing them to do the things that they do every day, and that's buy things. And now they can buy things through your games, right? Without ever impacting the game experience. So it's no surprise, 9 out of 10 players, no matter what games they play, said that they want this. By the way, the other 10% didn't say, no, this is crap, get this out of my game. They said, well, I really want to experience it first before I can tell you that, yeah, this is a place where I would shop for. So not a negative. Don't think that that 1 out of 10 is a negative. It's not. The 1 out of 10 is, I want to wait and see and experience it and see exactly what it can do for me. And again, it doesn't matter if you're casual, free to play, or premium. Everybody wants to discover savings, and who doesn't like rewards, right? We all do. I fly one airline only because of those rewards. Imagine what it can do for your game as well. And what we've done here, G-commerce has literally gamified shopping. So we shouldn't take that lightly at all.
All right, so I think we've kind of talked about this, about whether people will shop in games. Is there anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, you know, I've come across some game makers that say, you know, oh, nobody wants to shop through my game. You know, look, we all have to keep an open mind. Shopping has changed, you know, very different from the time that I first went to a mall to how I shop today, which is completely all online. I don't go out, you know, to shop anymore. I don't need to. Everything is there. Same with your games. You are engaging these audiences. I like to say renting their time, you know, for could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, etc. Right? Your game can provide them access, right, to the products they want to buy. In turn, it provides you the rewards, which enhance, you know, your gameplay experience, right? So it becomes a huge win-win for everybody. And frankly, even if they don't make a single purchase, it's fine. Players receive rewards every time they launch the G-commerce experience, like Scuti, right? And game makers still get revenues from the advertising that was going on when you saw those screens flash in front of you. And again, this is all outside of the game experience. And then the last thing I always say to everybody is it's the player's choice. I hear that said to me many, many years ago from many game makers, you know, when we were trying to do in-game advertising, right? In this, you know, that, you know, it's a player's choice to do this, or I always give my players choices. Okay, so we should live by the words we speak. It's the player's choice. Give them the choice in the lobby. Has nothing to do with the gameplay experience. And I guarantee you, they're going to make the decision to purchase from it because they're going to find the products that they want, and they're going to enjoy the riches of the rewards that they get from it as well. Sorry, I belabored that one.
It's all right. I've got one more question for you. And this is something I think that all the game developers are thinking about. Like, what kind of resources am I going to need to do something like this if I was interested in doing it? Because it seems like it could be complicated.
Pretty much nothing. And that's a completely understandable question. I always say game makers need to focus on making great games. Which is exactly why Scuti, for example, created an SDK which takes 1 hour, to integrate its G-commerce and the NFT marketplace into any game at all, okay? Or even the customization to your game is handled by Scuti, right? So I like to say it's a plug and play, but in this case, it's a plug and shop experience for everybody. And look, this brings us to the end today. And I do want to thank you all for joining us. And obviously, we'll open it up for Q&A. The one thing I wanted to end up there on there. I'm sorry, Chris, and maybe you have some questions from the audience. And
yeah, I was fine. No, I was going to usually come back and do some questions. That was very, very high energy pitch. Yeah, you were telling said it at some point you've been in this industry too long. My God, I wish I had your energy. I think that was incredible. So also at one point you did have the light of the heaven behind you, which
it's a heavenly thing, right?
So I'll try and kind of combine. It's quite a few questions. I'll try and kind of combine together. I guess one. I think generally people get the idea. I think it's it's putting shopping within a game, and I completely don't see why there's any reason. Like you say, people are shopping mainly off Amazon, off the mobile phone. What difference does it make? It doesn't. And I think the idea of bringing brands into mobile, is something that a lot of the advertising in mobile games at the moment is other mobile games, right? And I think trying to find ways to get brands in, it's absolutely seems logical. It's a retail experience they understand. I totally get it. I think because often brands can be a bit hesitant to go something completely different. So I think that's fine. I guess there's some practical questions about how kind of Scuti kind of works specifically. So do you kind of provide, obviously you provide the store, do you also provide all the offers, like, or do people select? How does that work? If I'm a developer, what do I have to do?
Yeah, so as a game maker, as I said earlier, it takes about 1 hour to basically integrate the SDK. And look, I also hear and know that, everybody wants to integrate into your game. You have decisions to make, but when a solution comes along that can provide you monetization, retention, it has an NFT marketplace in it, can also now have this G-commerce, it's substantial in terms of what one SDK can do. So that's 1 hour, right? On top of that, everything else is taken care of you. We go out, we source the brands. I have a list from gamers, right? In terms of the brands that they want and the categories they want, right? So everything is customized to your players. On top of that, every game maker has a dashboard. And on that dashboard, they're going to see all the brands that want to be sold through your games. You check the ones that you want. You don't check any of them, you don't get any brands, because we're not going to serve your audience as anything that you don't want. And frankly, you might also have a product placement and exclusive arrangement with especially for sporting games, right? That we have to be very cognizant of that. So the decisions and the controls are all left to the game makers, but we do everything else for them.
So I've got a lot of questions from Dan Creek, who I really should ask, because he's put out 5. So I should get him. So he's asked one related to that. He said, you've talked a little bit about how you recommend. He said, do you provide recommended brands? You said you do, so that's kind of answered. How many brands? I mean, at the moment, I guess it's early days. I don't know where you're at, but how many brands have you kind of got on board at the moment, or what sort of brands are you kind of working with right now?
We only deal with, there are 2 categories of brands: the big national brands that your consumers are going to want to buy, they expect to see, they appeal to gamers. But we also think about the demographics. See, remember how I said there's no one size fits all? We look at the game, the demographics of that game. By the way, we tell you who's playing your game, right? Sure. We are compliant in every way, IDFA. That's why we got Patrick here. TCF, GDP, we don't have to concern ourselves. We don't use third-party markets or anything like that. We have the relationship one-to-one with the brands, top brands, but we also offer your players, because we know players want to discover things. There are cool items, like for instance, we have a cool shoe manufacturer, right? It's called Koyo. I hope I pronounced that right, Koio. And it's $250 pair of shoes, right? They are so cool, because we want to provide your players with cool items that they wouldn't have discovered on their own. They're high end, and you're thinking to yourself, my player's not going to spend $250 on a pair of shoes through my game. Sure they are. They're spending that money anyhow. They're going to get a reward. They might get anywhere from 2 to 5% from that brand in rewards. So they're getting back $5 to $10 that they can now use in your game as a result. And of course, they can pay over time. That it doesn't have to come off the, we can work with firms like Affirm, etc., so that they pay in installments as well.
Okay. There's a couple of questions about the mechanics of it here. That there's related to the one related to the lobby. What is considered the lobby of the game? Is that like the main menu? Or is it a screen shown after each level?
Correct. It's whatever my first load screen is when I launch my game, right? Where are you taking me? Is it the main menu? Is it? And look, it's your game. You can put us wherever you want, right? Yeah. We just want to be able to allow the player access, put us anywhere you want that you feel you're going to be able to optimize, that launch opportunity.
It's an interesting question here, which is always topical, is does Apple, or I guess Google, take a share of the revenue?
No.
We've faced
buying
getting a bill through before we tried to sell physical items in games. Someone's raised here.
Yeah, no, because we're not selling you any digital items or any in-app purchases at the moment in which they use their rewards. So you're making money from the purchase of those, say, those Nike Jordans, right? That's a $220 item. I'm not going to say on this in a public forum what you're going to make, but it's double digits, right? That's from one purchase. You make double digits, okay?
Yeah.
You also make money from the rewards program as well. Each one of those brands gives a percentage back in the rewards. That reward, if they exchange it for a digital good, we have to pay the fee, to Apple, etc. Of course, and that's already built into the model.
Yeah.
So we reward everybody that's associated.
So we're not trying to sideline Apple.
No.
If money's being made by a developer, then it's the same thing. A couple of specific questions here. Does Scuti use IAB categories for pairing games and ads? That sounds like it might be a Patrick thing. I don't know. He's an IAB expert, but
yeah, actually, if I may, so Patrick, obviously as the ex-president there of the IAB, so we've worked with him to make sure that you saw those displays. Those are not just product displays; they are all IAB compliant billboards as well. Right. Patrick, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's right now I'm in the process of reviewing the Scuti technology and the data practices, and it's so far everything seems compliant, but I've got to do more research.
Thanks.
I'll try to get two final questions, and we'll probably have to wrap up because we're a little bit over. But so I've got from Lewis Savvy was asking, how does your NFT marketplace work? Would we upload content to you or via another source? I guess they're talking about if they have their own NFTs they want to sell. Is that something that's also supported here?
Yeah, yes. So we're pretty much agnostic. We support through our system. We support any cryptos. The NFT that we have in place with a third party. Actually, so you don't feel anything, the player doesn't see anything, it's all happening in the background, is a third-party firm that uses Ethereum. We're going to announce who they are very, very shortly as well. But again, I didn't want to do the heavy lifting. I'm sure most game makers don't want to do the heavy lifting as far as that's concerned. So they do everything the right way, and it's all built into our platform.
Okay, final, probably very quick answer from an anonymous attendees here. Do you support the Middle East? We've got a global audience here. We've got people from the MENA region. Is there any reason why you wouldn't support any particular region?
No, we support. The beauty of this is that all those products that you're seeing, we don't carry any of that product. It's all direct from the manufacturers. So what we do is, if there's an opportunity in the Middle East, we will work with local vendors and local suppliers in order to deliver to those players the products that they're looking for. Absolutely.
You're not putting stuff in boxes then, Nicholas. That's a shame.
No stuff in boxes.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna have to. No, thank you so much for that. It was really interesting, and yeah, something very fresh. And G-commerce, I'm sure, is something we shall hear an awful lot more about. Hopefully associated with Scuti in the coming weeks, months, and years. So thanks so much for your time today, guys. Have a great time at the show. Obviously, please do reach out to Nicholas if you want to learn more about Scuti. He'll be in the meeting system, and and perhaps in the Discord. I don't know what he's doing, but feel free to reach out to him direct.
Thanks, Rick.
That is cool. I think my colleague's going to send you into digital ether, back into New York to enjoy your day. Thanks for getting up early.